Sharing the inspiration a guest at a time. This is the Beyond Barriers Unscripted podcast, episode 29.
I don't know. I just to see a person who is blind or visually impaired as a person. That's pretty much the basic thing.
Hello and welcome. My name is Brandy Kubel.
I'm Randy Owen. In this episode, Brandy and I are joined by Renee Rentmeester.
Renee is the creator and executive producer of the Cooking Without Looking TV show. She was kind enough to sit down with us and have an unscripted conversation.
Before we get started, we would like to ask that if you enjoy the show to please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share with a friend. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd just like to reach out and say hi, Brandy and I can be reached at bb.unscripted@gmail.com.
And now, our conversation with Renee.
Today, we have the founder and creator of Cooking Without Looking, Renee Rentmeester. Hi, Renee.
Hello, Randy. Hi, Brandy. How are you guys?
Doing
We're
well.
Great.
Thanks for joining us.
For asking me.
Just to go ahead and just get started, can you tell us about Cooking Without Looking, maybe the history behind it, and what exactly is the TV show?
Okay. Well, about 21 years ago, I left my job at CBS in Miami. And, when you work in the media, you're always sitting on boards and everything. And I wanted something to leave my family and to leave everybody else, like a legacy. And so I wanted to do something that affected anyone, no matter your age, your sex, your religion, where you came from, anything. And so I found that blindness was that thing. And I felt like, I didn't know anyone blind, but I felt like that was a whole group of people that had been left out of society. And so I wanted a fun way to do it, to educate and entertain. I call it edutainment. And so what I did was I found a man who actually was a professor. He was a chef and a professor. And I asked him, hey, does Cooking Without Looking, is that like too flip or something? And he thought it was fun, because sometimes we in the sighted world think that blind or visually impaired people might not have a sense of humor. But I think what I've learned over the years is that that's what helps get us all through life, right? So then I found 3 people who were on the show with various blindnesses. One who had some sight, another person who had Stargardt's in the version of macular degeneration, and the other person was totally blind, Celia, and she had a catering business. So we got a contract with WXCL PBS in South Florida, and we were on for about 4 or 5 seasons, and then the recession hit. And so we took the show on the road. We went to a lot of different food places, a bunch of food festivals, the Boca Raton Wine and Food Festival, Delray Beach Wine and Food Festival, and even Macy's asked us to be there. It was like the whole store closed down. Everybody in the store came to watch us in the kitchen. It was just like something that nobody had seen. So then, now with the pandemic, we had always wanted to go international, but we didn't have that kind of a budget. So with the pandemic, we started shooting on Zoom. And right now we've been seen by people in 26 countries, including the United States. And we've got a podcast too, and which, by the way, I would not have that podcast without the help of a young man who is blind himself. He talked to me through it. And that's basically the story right now.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
Now, the Cooking Without Looking. So I remember specifically an episode, and maybe it was about 10 years ago. I think you were making pizza dough.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my.
Is that the right? Am I thinking of the same exact one?
Yes, you're exactly right. I laugh because I was in the control room. And you give, and you guys know, how this happens. You give people instructions and you think you've been as clear as you could possibly be. But this young woman was doing a great job, but she was doing it in real time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, 45 minutes later, oh, let's watch it rise. No. No, please, no. And so it was actually pretty funny. And I was whispering in Alan's ear. Alan and Annette are still with me. Celia is not, she passed, but I was talking to Alan in his ear, like, Alan, like, sort of move her ahead. And it's like, it's not real time. And people kept telling her that, but she just, and you know what, you just gotta let it go, and you go in the edit room and you fix it there. But that was pretty funny.
As a living skills instructor, for going on 3 decades now. Holy smokes, how does that happen?
Wow.
I remember giggling because I felt your pain.
Well, go on. I'm sorry, Brandy.
No, I feel your pain because, it's like sourdough starters and everybody's just like, yeah, well, we're going to bake sourdough in an hour, right?
Right. 3 days later.
you know?
Yeah, this isn't a time-elapsed show, kids.
I know we have iPhones, but we're not in Star Trek, guys. We're not, we're working there.
It's funny you should mention that show. It cracks me up that you mentioned that show because we shot last week. We shot a show with the Jamaica Society for the Blind, and we had a lady like that. The whole show is an hour, but it's on Zoom like you guys, and you can go a little over. It's not like working for PBS or CBS where like you die if it's over that 28-30 mark, and so she took the full hour herself, and there were 2 other segments after that. Another man from a society who was making something, and then the man from the executive director of the society. And again, it happened to Alan. It was Alan who was the host for that woman. And it was like, it cracked me up. But then I thought, you know what? A lot of people need to see this, or need to at least hear it, and to know how long it actually takes. And we got some really nice compliments on that show. And so it was just, something stuck in my head from a long time ago that it had to be a certain length. And she did an amazing job. She was cutting everything. Instead of having it pre-cut, she was cutting each carrot one at a time.
Alan and Annette are great. What was your inspiration?
Well, it was really that it felt to me as a person that I didn't know really any blind people. And I'm a person that I think everyone should be invited to the party of life. And I think that was it. And I like to have fun. And I know that, all the organizations that train people who are blind do a fantastic job, but then no one gets to see what they do, what a blind person can do. And then, there's a job market where a lot of people don't hire blind people because, they have that 1950s mentality about them. Like, well, what can blind people do? Well, we're not the show that trains you. We're the show that shows you what people who are blind or visually impaired can do.
So if a person wanted to be a member of the audience, is that possible, and how would they go about that?
Oh, I always put the link out. We have a link that we put out, and just this last couple of weeks, we were invited by the ACB to be a part of the ACB community. And we're going to tape with the ACB, and they will be putting it out. So we're going to see how that works out. But we were just proud and pleased that they invited us. So I come from the promotion department from CBS and the news department. So I promote everything like ad nauseum. So we always put that out on our Facebook page and our web page. We have a lot of fun. It's funny. We were invited to go to the Florida NFB convention, and we went. And Al and I and Annette have become great friends, even though we didn't know each other. They've hung with me on this for 21 years now, and none of us get paid from it. Somebody asked me the other day, well, there's no other show like this. So I said, no, because most people want to get paid for what they do. and this has just been a pure love thing with us. And we get along great. We have a lot of fun together. We each have our separate type of personality, but it's like we're a family.
Do you find a freedom because of not having sponsorship, or do you find a creative freedom with that maybe you wouldn't have if?
That's a really excellent question. Yes, because at a time when we did have sponsors, a couple of people, they would try to interject things or whatever. And I know what I want. I even include things that are quote unquote mistakes, because that empowers a person. If you've been frightened to go back in the kitchen when you lost your eyesight, you see somebody on TV make a mistake.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, and one lady did tell me that. She was like 76, and she said, she saw one of our people actually stick their hands in a bowl of whipped cream, thinking it was a white towel. And, and it's a sense of humor thing too. I love humor. I mean, we all need to get through life. Some of us more than others. I love to laugh about things about myself. And so, but that's a really good point, Randy. Yeah, it does lend some creative freedom.
So Renee, do you have any guests and favorite recipes?
Well, let's see, favorite recipes over all of these years. Let's see. You know what? The favorite recipe that I had was not because it tasted so great, but it was just beautiful and a work of art. Celia made a challah bread. And I mean, I don't know how she did it. She was totally blind, but it was the most beautiful work of art. I don't think
Is that the braided bread?
Yes. And it was just amazing and beautiful. And I just couldn't imagine even doing that myself. I've got the eyesight, but not the skills. So, and what was a really good recipe that I thought was delicious? We had a funny one. It was a man, and he made meatballs. It was called the poor boy's stroganoff. And he was like 85 years old and a little cranky, and but he was funny. But he stuck his hand. They asked him how he knew when the noodles were done, and he stuck his hand in the boiling water. And people were screaming at me, Renee, no, look what he's doing. I'm like, he's 82 years old. He pretty much knows.
He's been doing this forever.
Yeah, he probably has calluses on his fingers by now. And so, but I did edit the part, because if like kids are watching or whatever, you don't want someone sticking their hand in some boiling water.
These are trained professionals.
That's right. Or untrained. They just do what they want anyway.
That's a good point. I did really think of that. But yeah, I mean, some people have various ways of doing things, and you probably have to take that into consideration. But yeah.
One of my favorite things, and this is a little off the topic, but I love seeing, those reports. We have these reports here where, restaurants are closed because of certain things. And think of what we do in our own personal kitchen. And if our personal kitchen was a restaurant, how many times our kitchen would have been closed? So,
hands down, as a living skills instructor, I could honestly tell you, and my students will say, well, I can touch that. And I'm like, oh, our theme song here has got to touch that. That's why there's soap and water, folks.
That's right. And I think the biggest mistake we do by teaching our children not to touch things is, like, if we should start to lose our eyesight, we don't think of touching things to figure it out. We just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
how many people look at their tennis shoes when they tie them?
Really? Do you really stare at yourself in the mirror when you brush your teeth? No, you don't.
No. Oh, that was a great tip. That same man gave us a tip of, why should you, I guess he got frustrated when he first went blind because he couldn't get toothpaste on his.
I know what you're gonna say. He
couldn't get the toothpaste on his toothbrush. So what he did was he put it in his mouth and then he put the toothbrush. It's like, that is genius.
Yeah. Sometimes we overthink things, and
exactly.
I like that about cooking without looking, and which, by the way, the cleverest show title ever. My husband's like, I love that title. That's the best title ever.
Thank you so much. And then after we picked it out, well, first, like I told you, I was a little nervous because I thought people would think we were being flipped with blindness. And then someone told me that years ago, and I looked it up, a lady.
There's an LLS book of the same title.
Yeah, she did her treatise in Texas on it. And so, I just thought that was really neat. And it's cool. It's a little bit silly like I am. And I just liked it.
Can you talk about work-life balance?
I don't know. I just balance it out. And if I start to feel a little stressed, I always go outside. That's I was in Miami, so I'd go out a lot of times by the water, and or else I go running, and that seems to like balance me out. I just sort of listen to myself if I start getting a little edgy with myself or anyone else around me. I just go outside. That's my balance. I get up very early in the morning, and maybe that helps too.
What's your favorite local food? You said you're in Miami?
I was in Miami. Right now I'm in Albany, Georgia. Well, in Miami, it was different. Cuban food, and I learned how to cook Cuban. I make a mean lechon asado, which is just a roasted pork with garlic and onions and a little bit of oil and lemon juice or lime juice, depending on which one you like. That's my favorite. I love Cuban food. I like any kind of food. If you saw me, you would know that. I don't turn down a meal. And here in Albany, we're in the deep South. I love fried chicken. Yeah, and my favorite it used to be Kentucky Fried, but now it's Popeyes. I always love Popeyes with that little bit of spice in it, little kick. Yeah, I like fried chicken. I like fried anything. You can fry my shoe. I'd love it.
Now, where are you originally from?
Green Bay, Wisconsin.
State. Green Bay, Wisconsin. Are you a Packers fan?
Oh my God, I used to be a Packer cheerleader. Yeah.
No, really?
Yeah. My high kicks have gotten a little less high, but yeah. From the time I was just telling my granddaughter this. Yeah, from the time I was 14 to 18, and they didn't know I was 14 when I tried out because I'm like tall. So, yeah, I love the Packers. I love anything football. If I can't watch the Packers, I watch the Bears or the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, I love football. I can.
I thought I heard a little cheesehead in there.
Yeah, cheesehead.
I'm a Packers fan too.
Oh, good.
Uh-huh.
I know I like
Go Pack Go. How has working in the BVI community impacted your life, and what have you learned about yourself?
Well, one of the things I learned from going to one of the dining in the darks is that I'm very, very claustrophobic. Because when I didn't realize that that's what happens if you're blind. And then after I had that experience, I talked to one of the ladies who's a close friend of mine, Carolyn Lapp, and I said, she's totally blind. And I said, Carolyn, do you ever feel claustrophobic? And I guess in the beginning she was claustrophobic. I learned about myself that please don't ever move wherever I put something down. Don't move it without telling me. Which I was a caregiver for a totally blind lady for a couple of months, and I truly learned not ever to move anything. Just keep putting it. If you pick it up, you use it, you put it back down in the exact same place. And honestly, even with my sight, I don't like when people move things on me. I wonder what kind of a blind person I would be. I don't think I'd be very good at it. but with all of you guys helping me out, I've learned over the years. I think I've lost most of the fear maybe that people would have normally if they didn't meet anyone who was blind. What else have I learned? I don't know. I just to see a person who is blind or visually impaired as a person. That's pretty much the basic thing that I've learned. I just to the point of I forget you're blind, and if you have my if you've got my elbow or my shoulder, I might run you into something because I forgot you were blind. But not really. That's happened a couple of times with Celia, but I remember most often, and I have to think about it though, because it's like, yeah, you're just a person just like me.
I just take that as the ultimate compliment when somebody forgets I'm blind or runs me into something, because that just tells me, right on. You just see me as as just a regular person, as your homie. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was funny when I got to see his apartment one day. The whole place was really dark, and I'm like, I love light. Like, I don't know, I'm like a firefly. I love the light. And I walked in, and here's Celia, and I go, Celia, there are no lights, or the windows aren't open. I go, do you want me to do that for you? She goes, Renee, I'm blind. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. She goes, do it for yourself if you want. No. We were going somewhere. I think I picked her up to go to the store or something. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
So Renee, where do you see Cooking Without Looking going in the next 5 years?
Well, we've been working on trying to get it onto one of the streaming platforms. We've tried Netflix. We've been trying. I send Ted Sarandos at Netflix every time. Every time we do a show, every second Friday of the month, he gets one of our shows in his email. And Drew Barrymore, we've sent her things. Rachel Ray, whose mom has macular degeneration. So we're just trying to get on some sort of a platform. We've also tried, of course, Food Network and the Cooking Channel. So it's just a matter of keep throwing up stuff against the wall and see who catches it.
What is your social media contact information?
Our social media is the Cooking Without Looking TV show on Facebook. We are also on Twitter at Cook Without Look. And we are on a YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. You can see a whole bunch of shows, even back in the day shows, not the one with the pizza, I think. But that's Cooking Without Looking, our YouTube channel. We also have a podcast, which is Cooking Without Looking. And you can get it anywhere you get your podcast, but it's also on the Alexis-enabled machines. If you have a Alexis at home and you say cooking without looking podcast, it'll take you right there.
Renee, is there anything you can think of that you would like to talk about or share that we haven't brought up?
Well, our motto is changing the way we see blindness. And the reason I chose that was because, really, blindness isn't a disability to the person who is blind. It's the other side of the coin who sort of make us disabled because they don't want to give jobs. They see blindness. They don't really know enough about blindness. And so they don't realize all of the things that are new and modern and that can help a person do their job. And many blind people want to work, and there's a real loyal workforce out there just waiting. Since everyone's deciding not to work anymore, to change jobs, hey, give a person who's blind a chance.
And there's a lot of people who want the chance.
That's right. And you just have to understand, a blind person, it's not that they can't do anything, they're just doing it a different way, like any other person who, we focus on, I rarely use the word disability, we always focus on the ability, because, we all have something that isn't quite working right on us, or the way everyone else does. And I have a little cheesehead in my voice, and that's my drawback. But it just gives people a chance, one-on-one, that's all.